I thought I knew what I was doing. I was 61, retired, finally free. She said she loved me even when I had nothing. Now she owns the house. And I'm renting a bunk bed in a hostel, with nothing but this story left. I'm not here to blame her. I'm here to admit how blind I was. The colored lights spun across her face like she was dancing in some kind of dream. I sat at that sticky bar table in Cebu, nursing my third San Miguel, watching Shayla move between customers like she owned the place. 28 years old, long black hair that caught every flash of neon, and when she laughed at something some guy said, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Jealousy. Want. Life. You look lonely, she said, sliding into the chair across from me. Her English was careful but sweet, like she was picking each word just for me. I'm Douglas, I said, extending my hand like some kind of businessman. She took it, her fingers soft and warm. Shayla. You're American? Minnesota. Just retired. Thought I'd see what all the fuss was about down here. I tried to sound casual, but my voice cracked a little. Pathetic. She smiled, and I swear the whole bar got quieter. You're not like the others, she said, running her fingers along my arm. They come here angry. You seem kind. I wanted to believe her so badly it hurt. 3 months into retirement, 2 years since my divorce was finalized, and I'd been drifting through my days like a ghost. Sold the house in Duluth, liquidated everything I owned, and bought a one-way ticket to Manila because some guy at the American Legion told me $1 went further in the Philippines. He wasn't wrong about the money, but he never mentioned girls like Shayla. What do you do? I asked, though I already knew. She worked here. They all did. I dance, I talk to people, make them feel welcome. She leaned closer. What did you do in Minnesota? Utility company. 42 years fixing power lines. Not very exciting. You built things. You helped people. That's beautiful. The way she said it, soft and sincere, made me feel like maybe I'd done something right with my life after all. We talked for 2 hours. About Minnesota winters, about her family in Mindanao, about dreams and disappointments. When the bar closed, she walked me to the street. Will I see you again? She asked. Would you like to? She kissed my cheek, gentle as rain. You're different, Douglas, I can tell. I walked back to my hotel that night thinking about her laugh, her touch, the way she said my name like it mattered. For the first time since I'd landed in Cebu, I wasn't counting the days until I'd figure out what came next. I was hoping tomorrow would come faster. Douglas? It's me. Her voice through the phone sounded smaller than it had in the bar, more vulnerable. I'd been sitting in my hotel room for 3 days, replaying our conversation, wondering if I should go back. When she called, my heart jumped like I was 16 again. Shayla. Hi. How did you get my number? You wrote it on a napkin, remember? I wanted to hear your voice. I did remember. Scribbled it down like some lovesick teenager before I left the bar. I'm glad you called. Are you free tonight? I mean, not for work, just to talk. We met at a little cafe near the pier. She wore a simple yellow dress, no makeup, hair pulled back. Beautiful in a completely different way than she'd been under those lights. Tell me about Minnesota, she said over coffee. So I did. Told her about the house I'd shared with my ex-wife until she decided she needed space to find herself at 56. Told her about working outdoors in -20-degree weather, about the silence that settled over the lake in winter, about how I'd wake up some mornings and wonder what the point was. You sound lonely, she said. I was. That's why I left. I don't care about your money, she said suddenly, reaching across the table to take my hand. Just don't leave me like everyone else. The way she said it, with this crack in her voice, made my chest tight. What do you mean? My father left when I was 12. My ex-boyfriend, he promised me everything, then disappeared with some girl from Manila. Men always leave. I'm not going anywhere. She squeezed my hand. Promise? Promise. That night, I walked her home to a tiny apartment she shared with 2 other girls. The next morning, I brought her breakfast. Pandesal and coffee from the bakery down the street. She answered the door in an oversized t-shirt, hair messy from sleep, and smiled like I'd brought her the world. Nobody's ever brought me breakfast, she said. Well, get used to it. For 2 weeks, we had breakfast together every morning. She'd tell me about her dreams of opening a small shop, maybe selling clothes or jewelry. I'd tell her about the pension that would keep me comfortable for the rest of my life, about the freedom of having no schedule, no boss, no responsibilities except to myself. What if you had responsibilities to someone else? She asked one morning, tracing patterns on the table with her finger. Like what? Like someone who cared about you, who wanted to take care of you too. I'd like that, I said. And I meant it. On a Tuesday morning in October, she didn't go to work. Instead, she came to my hotel with a small bag of clothes. Can I stay with you tonight? She asked. My roommate's boyfriend is visiting, and it's complicated. Of course. She never left. Within a week, her things were scattered around my hotel room, her shampoo in the shower, her dresses hanging in the closet next to my shirts. She'd wake up early to buy groceries and make me eggs the way I liked them. She'd massage my shoulders when they got stiff from the cheap hotel mattress. This feels like home, she said one evening, curled up against me while we watched some Filipino soap opera I couldn't understand. What does? This, us, being together. I kissed the top of her head, breathing in the smell of her hair. It does. Douglas? Yeah, I love you. I hadn't said those words to anyone in 3 years. Hadn't heard them either. I love you too, Shayla. We started looking at houses the next week. This one's perfect, Shayla said, spinning around in the empty living room like a kid in a candy store. The house sat on a quiet street about 20 minutes outside Cebu City. 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a garden where someone had planted bougainvillea that cascaded over the fence in purple waves. The rent was 8,000 pesos a month, $200. In Minnesota, I couldn't have rented a storage unit for that. It needs some work, I said, running my hand along a wall that had seen better days. We can fix it together. Make it ours. She took my hands, pulling me toward the window that looked out over the garden. Can you imagine? Having coffee here every morning, growing our own vegetables? I could imagine it. More than that, I wanted it. Wanted the routine, the domesticity, the simple pleasure of building something with someone who loved me. There's just one problem, I said. What? I can't own property here. Being a foreigner and all. Her face fell. Oh, I forgot. So we can't have it? Well, we could put it in your name, if you're comfortable with that. She was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the garden. You'd trust me with that? Shayla, I love you. Of course I trust you. She threw her arms around my neck, pressing her face into my shoulder. You're the best man I've ever known, Douglas. The best. We went to the landlord's office that afternoon. Mang Roberto, a tired-looking guy in his 60s who spoke better English than I spoke Tagalog. You want the lease in her name? He asked, glancing between us. She's my girlfriend. It's easier that way. Your choice, sir. But usually, foreign tenants, they keep the lease in their name. More protection. Shayla squeezed my hand under the table. It's okay, she whispered. Whatever makes you comfortable. No, I said, your name is fine. It's your home too. I handed over first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit, 3 months of rent up front, paid in cash, 24,000 pesos, about $600. Money I'd made in a day and a half back in Minnesota, but money that represented something bigger here. Commitment. Trust. The belief that this beautiful girl with the bright smile and gentle hands wanted to build a life with me. Thank you, she said when we walked out of Roberto's office with the keys. For trusting me. For choosing me. Thank you for letting me choose you. We moved in the next day. I hired a jeepney to haul my stuff from the hotel, which wasn't much. 2 suitcases of clothes, a laptop, some books. Shayla brought even less. A few dresses, some jewelry, a small statue of the Virgin Mary her grandmother had given her. It looks empty, she said, surveying our new living room. We'll fill it. And we did. Over the next month, we bought furniture piece by piece. A bed, a couch, a dining table. Shayla had good taste, simple but elegant. She picked out curtains in soft blues and greens that made the whole place feel peaceful. I bought a flat-screen TV and a small refrigerator. She painted the bathroom yellow because she said it looked like sunshine. The only strange moment came when she was signing up for utilities. The electric company needed her passport, and when she opened her purse, I saw 2 phones. One was the phone she always used around me. The other was smaller, older. 2 phones? I asked. Oh, that one's broken. I keep meaning to throw it away. It rang while she was talking to the electric company representative. She glanced at it, then at me, then let it go to voicemail. Probably just spam, she said. But I saw the name on the screen before it went dark. Miguel. Who's Miguel? My cousin. He's always calling about family stuff. Drama. She rolled her eyes, smiling. You know how families are. I didn't, really. My family was just me and my ex-wife's kids, who called twice a year out of obligation. But I nodded anyway. Family can be complicated, I said. Exactly. That night, lying in our new bed in our new house, I listened to Shayla's breathing beside me and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Like I'd finally found the place I was supposed to be. The phone buzzed again on her nightstand. She was asleep, so I ignored it. But the name Miguel glowed in the darkness for a few seconds before the screen went black. Family? I told myself, just family. October 28th. My 62nd birthday. The first birthday I'd had in the Philippines, the first birthday I'd had with Shayla. I woke up early, expecting maybe a kiss, maybe coffee in bed, maybe just a simple happy birthday to start the day right. Shayla was already gone. No note. No text. Just her side of the bed cold and empty, and the sound of her motorcycle already fading down the street. I made my own coffee and sat in the garden, watching the bougainvillea dance in the morning breeze. Maybe she was planning something. Maybe she'd gone to buy a cake, or flowers, or some small gift that would make me feel foolish for worrying. I checked my phone every few minutes, waiting for a message that didn't come. By noon, I called her. Hello? Her voice sounded distant, distracted. Hey, it's me, just wondering where you are. Oh, Douglas. I'm at my friend Maria's. She's having some problems with her boyfriend. Woman stuff, you know. On my birthday? Silence. Then, oh my God. Douglas, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot. I'll be home soon, okay? I'll make it up to you. It's okay. I said, though it wasn't. Take your time. I love you. Love you too. But she didn't come home soon. The afternoon stretched into evening, and evening into night. I heated up leftover adobo from the fridge and ate alone at our little dining table, watching Filipino game shows I couldn't understand. At 10 o'clock, I went to bed. She came home at 3 in the morning, stumbling a little, smelling like beer and cigarettes and something else I couldn't identify. Perfume that wasn't hers. Douglas? She whispered, sliding into bed beside me. I'm awake. I'm so sorry about today. Maria was really messed up. Her boyfriend cheated on her, and she was crying and drinking, and I couldn't just leave her. It's fine. No, it's not. It's your birthday. Your first birthday here. She curled up against me, her hand on my chest. Next year, I'll make it up to you. We'll have a party. Invite all our friends. Make it special. Okay, you're mad at me. I'm not mad, just disappointed. I know. I'm sorry. I love you so much, Douglas. You know that, right? I know. But lying there in the dark, listening to her breathing even out as she fell asleep, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted. It wasn't just the birthday. It was the way she'd said my name when I called, like she'd forgotten who I was for a second. It was the smell of unfamiliar perfume in her hair. It was the fact that Maria, who supposedly needed her so desperately, had never been mentioned before today. The next morning, she made me pancakes and bacon, humming while she cooked. See, I told you I'd make it up to you. Thank you, this is nice. I bought you something too. She handed me a small wrapped box. Inside was a watch. Nothing fancy but new. I know you lost yours in the move. I hadn't lost my watch. It was sitting in the drawer next to the bed, same place it had been for weeks. But the gesture was sweet, and her smile was so hopeful that I didn't have the heart to correct her. I love it, I said. Thank you. Happy birthday, Douglas. Better late than never, right? Right. Over the following weeks, I started noticing other things. Shayla would disappear for hours at a time without explanation. She'd come home with new clothes, new jewelry, but when I asked where she got them, she'd say they were gifts from friends or she'd found them at the market for almost nothing. Her phone rang more often, and she'd always step outside to answer it. Who was that? I'd ask when she came back in. Nobody important. Telemarketer. Wrong number. But I saw her face when the phone rang. Saw the way she'd check the screen and either smile or frown before deciding whether to answer. Saw how she'd started keeping her phone face down on the table during dinner. "Are you happy?" I asked her one evening while we were watching TV. "What do you mean?" "Here. With me. This life we're building." She looked at me like I'd asked her whether the sky was blue. "Of course I'm happy. Why would you ask that?" "You just seem distant lately." "I'm not distant. I'm right here." She scooted closer to me on the couch, resting her head on my shoulder. "I'm always right here." But even as she said it, her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She glanced at it, and I saw her face change. Just for a second. Just long enough to make me wonder who Miguel really was, and why he called so often, and why the sound of his name on her phone made her look guilty. "Family," she said, seeing me notice. "Right. Family." But that night, after she fell asleep, I lay awake thinking about birthdays and broken promises and the difference between being with someone and being alone with someone. And for the first time since I'd met Shayla, I wondered if coming to the Philippines had been a mistake. I saw them at Ayala Mall on a Saturday afternoon. I'd gone to buy groceries while Shayla was supposedly at work, taking the jeepney into the city because I liked the chaos of it, the noise and color in life. I was walking past the food court when I saw her sitting at a table near the fountain, but she wasn't alone. He was maybe 25, thin but muscular, wearing a tank top that showed off tattoos covering both arms. They were sitting close, sharing a plate of Halo, and when he said something that made her laugh, she threw her head back like he was the funniest person in the world. The same laugh she used to give me. Then he leaned over and kissed her. Not a cousin kiss. Not a friend kiss. A real kiss, soft and lingering, like they'd done it 1,000 times before. My chest went tight. The grocery bag slipped from my hand, and apples rolled across the floor. A security guard gave me a look, but I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but watch the woman I loved kiss another man like I didn't exist. They didn't see me. I made sure of that. Ducked behind a pillar and watched them for another 10 minutes, taking pictures with shaking hands that I knew I'd probably never look at again. Watched him feed her ice cream. Watched her play with his fingers. Watched them get up and walk toward the parking garage hand in hand. I didn't follow them. Didn't want to see what came next. I took a taxi home and sat in our living room for 3 hours, staring at the yellow walls Shayla had painted, wondering what the hell I was supposed to do now. Call her? Confront her? Pack my bags and disappear like I'd never existed? When she came home at 8 o'clock, she was humming. "Hi, baby," she said, kissing my forehead like she'd done 100 times before. "How was your day?" "Fine." "How was work?" "Exhausting. So many difficult customers today." She flopped down on the couch next to me, kicking off her heels. One guy kept trying to touch me. "Disgusting. That's terrible. I'm just glad to be home with you." She curled up against me, and I could smell his cologne on her hair. Faint, but there. "What did you do today?" "Went to the mall. Bought groceries." "Which mall?" "Ayala." I watched her face carefully. No change, no guilt, no recognition, just mild interest. "Oh, that's nice. Get anything good?" "Just the usual." We watched TV for an hour. She fell asleep against my shoulder, and I sat there studying her face, looking for signs of deception, of guilt, of anything that would explain what I'd seen. But she looked peaceful. Innocent. Like the girl who'd told me she loved me, who'd painted our bathroom yellow, who'd promised me next year would be different. I waited 3 days before I said anything. "Who's Miguel?" I asked over breakfast, trying to keep my voice casual. She looked up from her coffee, and for just a second, I saw something flash across her face. Panic, maybe. Or calculation. "I told you. My cousin." "Why?" "He calls a lot for a cousin. Filipino families are close. Closer than American families." "When was the last time you saw him?" "I don't know. A few months ago, maybe." "Why are you asking all these questions?" I could have told her then. Could have said I saw you at the mall, saw you kiss him, saw you laugh with him like you used to laugh with me. Could have laid the pictures on the table and demanded an explanation. Instead, I said, "Just curious. You don't trust me." "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to. You think because I worked in a bar, because I'm Filipina, because I'm younger than you, that I'm some kind of liar, some kind of gold digger." "Shayla, That's not. It is. You think I'm with you for your money. You think I could never really love an old American man unless there was something in it for me. The way she said it, with hurt in her voice and tears in her eyes, made me feel like the worst person in the world. Like I was the one who'd done something wrong. That's not true. I love you. I trust you. Then stop questioning me. Stop making me feel like I have to prove myself every day. I'm sorry. You don't own me, Douglas. You're not my father. You're not my husband. If you don't like how I am, maybe you should find someone else. She stormed out of the house, and I didn't see her for a week. 7 days of sitting in our empty house, wondering if she was with Miguel, wondering if she was coming back, wondering if I should pack my bags and go home to Minnesota, where at least the loneliness was familiar. 7 days of checking my phone every 5 minutes for a text that never came. When she finally walked through the door the following Saturday, she acted like nothing had happened. "Hi, baby," she said, kissing my forehead. "Did you miss me? Where have you been?" "At Maria's." I needed space to think. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table. "I'm sorry I got so angry. But Douglas, you have to understand. If we're going to be together, you have to trust me. Really trust me. Not this half-trust where you're always waiting for me to betray you. I do trust you." "Then, prove it. Stop asking about Miguel. Stop questioning where I go. Stop making me feel like a prisoner in my own life. Okay, promise me. I promise." She smiled then, bright and beautiful. And for a moment, I almost believed that everything was going to be fine. That we could go back to the way things were before I saw her at the mall, before I started noticing the phone calls and the late nights and the smell of someone else's cologne in her hair. "Good," she said, "because I love you, Douglas, more than you know. And I don't want to lose what we have over something stupid like jealousy. I love you too." But that night, lying in bed next to her, I kept thinking about Miguel's hands in her hair, about the way she'd laughed at something he'd said, about the fact that she'd disappeared for a week without a word and come back acting like I was the one who'd done something wrong. Trust, I told myself. You promised to trust her, but trust was getting harder every day. I was coming back from the market on a Thursday morning, plastic bags of vegetables and rice weighing down my arms, when I saw the motorcycle parked outside our house. Not Shayla's motorcycle. A bigger one, black and chrome, with flame decals on the gas tank. The front door was closed, but I could hear voices inside. Shayla's voice and a man's voice I didn't recognize. Not Miguel's voice, someone older, rougher. I tried my key in the front door. It didn't work. Tried it again, thinking maybe I'd grabbed the wrong key. But no, it was the right key. The same key I'd been using for months. The key just wasn't working anymore. I knocked. The voices inside stopped. Footsteps. The door opened, but only a crack, held by a chain I'd never seen before. "Douglas?" Shayla's face appeared in the gap, and she looked surprised to see me. Genuinely surprised, like I was the last person she'd expected to find at my own front door. "My key doesn't work." "Oh. Yeah, we had to change the locks, for security." I did. Someone tried to break in yesterday while you were out. I got scared. Why didn't you tell me? I was going to, tonight. It was supposed to be a surprise. I was going to have new keys made for both of us. Behind her, I heard movement. Heavy footsteps. A chair scraping against the floor. "Who's in there with you?" "My brother." "I didn't know you had a brother." "Half-brother. Same father. Different mothers. He came to help with the locks." The chain rattled as she unhooked it, and the door swung open. Standing behind her was a man maybe 40 years old, built like a construction worker, wearing jeans and a white t-shirt stretched tight across his chest. He had Shayla's eyes but none of her warmth. "This is Rodell," Shayla said. "Rodell, this is Douglas." Rodell nodded but didn't extend his hand. Didn't smile. Just looked at me like he was measuring me for something unpleasant. "Nice to meet you," I said. "Yeah." I carried my groceries to the kitchen, but something felt wrong. Different. The living room had been rearranged. Our couch was pushed against a different wall. The coffee table was gone completely. On the dining table, I saw papers spread out. Official-looking documents with legal letterhead. "What are those?" I asked. Shayla moved quickly to gather them up. "Nothing. Just bills. They look like legal documents. Rodell's helping me with some family stuff. Boring paperwork." Rodel muttered something in Tagalog that I didn't understand, but Shayla's face went hard. English, please, she said. Douglas doesn't speak Tagalog. I said I have to go, Rodel said, but his tone suggested he'd said something else entirely. Nice meeting you, Douglas. After he left, the house felt different. Smaller. Like the walls had moved closer together while I was gone. Your brother seems nice, I said. He's protective. All Filipino men are protective of their sisters. How long is he staying? He's not staying. He just came to help with the locks. But that night, while Shayla was in the shower, I heard his motorcycle pull up outside. Saw him through the window, talking on his phone in our driveway. He was there for an hour, just sitting on his bike, talking and smoking cigarettes. The next morning, I woke up alone again. Shayla's side of the bed was cold, and her overnight bag was gone from the closet. This time, she was gone for 3 days. When she came back, she had a black eye. What happened to your face? I fell. Off my motorcycle. I'm okay. That's not a motorcycle accident, Shayla. Someone hit you. Nobody hit me. I fell, Douglas. Why don't you believe me? Because I've seen what happens when someone falls off a motorcycle. That's not what this is. Her face changed then. The softness disappeared, replaced by something cold and calculating. You think you know everything, don't you? You think because you're American, because you're older, because you have money, that you understand my life better than I do. I think someone hurt you, and I want to help. You want to help? Then stop asking questions. Stop making everything about you. This isn't about me. This is about your safety. My safety is my business. The next morning, I went to the market again. Same routine, same time, same route. When I came back, the house was quiet, too quiet. I tried my key in the front door. It didn't work. Again. This time, when I knocked, Rodel answered. She's not here, he said. Where is she? Gone. When will she be back? She won't. What do you mean she won't? He stepped outside and closed the door behind him. Up close, he was bigger than I'd thought. Taller, broader, the kind of man who settled disagreements with his fists. She says you hit her, he said quietly. I never laid a hand on her. She says you did. She showed me the bruise. I didn't give her that bruise. Someone else did. She says it was you. So now you need to go. This is my house. I paid for it. Your name on the lease? My stomach dropped. No, but then it's not your house. It's her house, and she doesn't want you here anymore. I can call the police. You can try. But they'll ask to see the lease. They'll ask to see proof you live here. You got any proof, Douglas? I didn't. Everything was in her name. The lease, the utilities, the cable. I'd paid for all of it, but legally, officially, I was nobody. Just some American who'd been staying in Shayla's house. My things are inside. She packed them. They're in the garage. He walked me around to the side of the house and opened the garage door. There, sitting on the concrete floor, were 2 suitcases and 3 cardboard boxes. Everything I owned in the Philippines. Everything I'd brought from Minnesota. Plus the few things I'd bought here. Clothes, books, laptop, the watch Shayla had given me for my birthday. That's it? I asked. That's it. I loaded everything into a tricycle and rode back to the hotel where I'd stayed when I first arrived in Cebu. The same room, if you can believe it. Same view of the parking lot, same broken air conditioner, same smell of mold and disinfectant. I sat on the bed and tried calling Shayla. The number was disconnected. Tried calling the number she'd given me from Miguel, just to see if she was there, also disconnected. Went to the barangay the next day to file a complaint. Talked to a tired-looking official who spoke broken English and kept asking to see documents I didn't have. You have receipt for rent? He asked. She paid the rent. It was in her name. You have contract? No contract. Marriage certificate? We're not married. Then sorry, sir. This is civil matter. Between you and her, we cannot help. I hired a lawyer. Paid him 5,000 pesos to tell me what I already knew. I had no legal claim to the house, no legal relationship with Shayla, no recourse except to move on with my life. Next time, he said, put everything in your name. Or at least both names. This is common problem with foreign men and Filipino women. There won't be a next time. That's what they all say. I found her on Facebook 2 weeks later. Same profile picture, same bright smile, but her relationship status had changed from in a relationship to single, like I'd never existed at all. I spent an hour staring at her photos, looking for clues, for explanations, for something that would make sense of what had happened. There were new pictures I'd never seen, pictures of her with Miguel at restaurants I couldn't afford, pictures of her with Rodel and other men I didn't recognize, pictures that looked like they'd been taken weeks ago, maybe months ago, while she was still living with me and telling me she loved me. In one photo, she was wearing the earrings I'd bought her for Valentine's Day. But she was with Miguel, and they were kissing under a sign that said, Happy New Year 2025, months before I'd even met her. I started typing a message, deleted it, started again, deleted it again, wrote a whole paragraph about betrayal and lies and broken promises, then deleted that too. Finally, I wrote the only thing that felt true. I don't want the house. I don't want anything back. I just wanted to matter. I sent it before I could change my mind. She replied within an hour. You were fun. But you knew what this was. 5 words that cut deeper than any knife. 5 words that rewrote our entire relationship, turned every I love you into a performance, every tender moment into a transaction, every promise into a lie. You knew what this was. Like I was a customer. Like I was paying for her time and her body and her attention, and when the money stopped being worth the effort, the contract was over. Like I'd never been anything more than another lonely American with a pension and a broken heart and a desperate need to believe that someone could love me for who I was instead of what I had. Maybe she was right. Maybe I did know, deep down, what this was. Maybe I just didn't want to admit it. I called the airline and changed my flight back to Minnesota. Then I called and changed it back. Then I sat in my hotel room for 3 days, eating instant noodles and watching Filipino game shows, trying to decide whether to go home to a country that felt foreign to me now, or stay in a country where I'd never belonged in the first place. On the 4th day, I went to the ATM to check my balance. 53,000 pesos. About $1,300. Less than half of what I'd arrived with 6 months ago. The rest had gone to rent, furniture, groceries, gifts, dinners, that watch she'd given me for my birthday that she'd probably bought with my own money. I stopped eating. Not intentionally, just lost the appetite. Lost interest in food, in sleep, in the TV shows that used to distract me. I'd lie in bed staring at the ceiling fan, thinking about that last message. You knew what this was. Wondering if I really had known and just chose to ignore it. Or if I was really that stupid, that desperate, that easy to fool. The hotel manager knocked on my door on day 6. Sir, you okay? Come out for food. I'm fine. You sure? You look very thin. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror after he left. He was right. I'd lost weight I couldn't afford to lose. My face was gaunt, my clothes hanging loose. I looked like what I was. A broken old man who'd given everything to someone who'd never wanted anything but his money. I sold my laptop to a pawn shop downtown. Got 3,000 pesos for something that had cost me $800. Sold my watch, my camera, anything I could part with. Extended my stay at the hotel 1 week at a time, rationing my remaining money like a survivor of some disaster. Which I suppose I was. On day 10, I walked to the pier where Shayla and I had once talked about taking a boat to Bohol. Sat on a bench and watched the ferries come and go, thinking about how easy it would be to buy a ticket somewhere, anywhere, just to keep moving. Keep running from the shame of having been so thoroughly, completely fooled. That's where I wrote my last message to her. Not on Facebook, but on a piece of paper I found in my pocket. A receipt from the grocery store where I'd bought vegetables the morning everything fell apart. Dear Shayla, I wrote on the back. I hope Miguel makes you happy. I hope Rodel protects you the way I never could. I hope you get everything you wanted from life. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired. And I'm sorry I wasn't enough. Douglas. I never sent it. Just folded it up and put it back in my pocket, where it stayed for the next 2 weeks. The turning point came on a Sunday morning when I couldn't afford breakfast and was too proud to ask the hotel manager for help. I was sitting in the lobby, watching other guests head out for their tours and adventures, when an old Filipino man sat down next to me. You look like shit, my friend, he said in perfect English. Thanks. American? Used to be. He laughed. Used to be? What are you now? I don't know. Let me guess. Filipina girlfriend. Took your money. Broke your heart. I looked at him more carefully. He was maybe 70, well-dressed, with kind eyes and a knowing smile. How did you know? Because I see it every day. American men, European men, Australian men, they come here looking for love and find businesswomen instead. Were you? Married to a Filipina for 20 years, but I met her in San Francisco, not in a bar in Cebu. Big difference. He extended his hand. Frank Morrison. Originally from Chicago. Douglas Patterson. Minnesota. How much did she get you for? Everything. House. In her name? Her name. Classic. Textbook. You could write a manual. Frank shook his head. The good news is, you're not the first. The bad news is, you won't be the last. What do I do now? You got anywhere to go back home? Apartment I was renting to some college kids. But I can get it back. Money for a plane ticket? If I sell everything I have left, maybe. Then you go home. You lick your wounds. You remember that falling in love doesn't make you stupid, it just makes you human. And you try not to hate all Filipino women because of one bad one. I don't hate her. You should. It would be healthier than whatever this is. He gestured at my face, my clothes, my general state of decay. She took your money, Douglas. She lied to your face for months. She had you thrown out of your own house. A little anger might do you some good. I loved her. I know you did. That's what makes it hurt so much. Frank bought me breakfast that morning. Long silog and coffee and fresh fruit that tasted like life returning to my body. We talked for 2 hours about love and disappointment and the difference between romance and transaction. The thing is, he said as we were finishing, you can't blame the Philippines for this. You can't blame the culture or the people or the poverty or any of that. Some women are sharks, and some men are easy prey. Geography doesn't change that. So what do I do? How do I trust anyone again? Slowly, carefully, and maybe next time, keep your name on the lease. That afternoon, I bought a plane ticket back to Minneapolis. One way, departing in 3 days. Used the last of my money, plus what I got from selling my remaining belongings. Everything except the clothes on my back and the note I'd written to Shayla. I spent my last night in the Philippines sitting on the pier, watching the sunset paint the water in shades of gold and orange. Beautiful, like everything else about this country that had given me the best and worst months of my life. I took out the note and read it one more time. Then I tore it into small pieces and watched them flutter into the water, carried away by the tide like everything else I'd lost here. The plane touched down in Minneapolis on a gray February morning, and I remember thinking how much the cold looked like disappointment. I took a taxi to my old apartment building, where my former tenants, 2 college kids named Jake and Madison, were waiting with boxes of my stuff and sheepish expressions. Mr. Patterson, Jake said, shaking my hand like he was handling something fragile. We're really sorry about the short notice. We found a place closer to campus. It's fine, I said, though nothing felt fine. I appreciate you taking care of the place. They helped me carry my boxes up 3 flights of stairs to an apartment that smelled like pizza and college-age mistakes but was still mine. Still had my name on the lease, my furniture, my books arranged the way I'd left them 8 months ago. It should have felt like coming home. Instead, it felt like visiting a museum of my former life. The first month was the hardest. I'd wake up at dawn, Philippines time, then lie in bed for hours remembering the sound of Shayla's breathing next to me. I'd reach for my phone to call her, then remember that her number was disconnected, that she'd blocked me on Facebook, that whatever we'd had was as gone as the money I'd spent trying to make it real. I got a job at Home Depot, part-time, just to have somewhere to go during the day. Minimum wage plus a small employee discount, helping contractors and weekend warriors pick out screws and paint and garden hoses. It was mindless work, which was exactly what I needed. 8 hours a day of not thinking about yellow bathroom walls and bougainvillea and the way she used to trace patterns on the table with her finger while we talked. My supervisor was a kid named Danny, maybe 25, who treated me with the careful respect people reserve for the elderly and the recently broken. You doing okay, Mr. Patterson? He'd ask when he caught me staring off into space. Fine, Danny, just fine. You sure? You seem a little distant. How do you explain to a 25-year-old that you gave your heart and your savings to a woman half your age on the other side of the world, and she fed both to someone else while telling you she loved you? How do you explain that you were 61 years old and still stupid enough to believe that love could be that simple, that pure, that real? Just adjusting, I'd say. New schedule and all. The other employees were kind but curious. They knew I'd been somewhere, done something, come back different. During lunch breaks, they'd ask careful questions about my vacation in the Philippines, and I'd give them careful answers about beaches and cheap food and friendly people. Never mentioned Shayla. Never mentioned the house or the lies or the way it felt to realize that everything you thought you knew about someone was performance art. Sounds like paradise, they'd say. It has its moments. 3 months after I got back, I was helping a customer load bags of concrete into his truck when he asked me a question that stopped me cold. You ever been married? Once. Didn't work out. None. Kids? No. Girlfriend? I thought about Shayla's laugh, her yellow dress, the way she looked at me that first night in the bar like I was worth something. Then I thought about Miguel's hands in her hair, about Rodol's face when he told me I had to leave, about 5 words that had rewritten everything I thought I knew about love. No, I said. No, girlfriend. Well, you're still young. Plenty of time. I was 62 years old, loading concrete into a stranger's truck for $9 an hour, sleeping alone in an apartment that felt like a waiting room. Young wasn't the word I had chosen. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with a beer and a calculator, adding up what the Philippines had cost me. Not just the money, though that was substantial. Rent, furniture, food, gifts, flights, the lawyer who told me I had no recourse, the hotel where I'd wasted away for 2 weeks. About $20,000 all told. Half my savings, gone. But the real cost wasn't financial. It was the part of me that had believed, even at 61, that someone could love me for who I was, instead of what I had. The part that had looked at a 28-year-old bar girl and seen not a transaction but a possibility. The part that had thought I was different from all the other lonely Western men who'd made the same mistake. I wasn't different. I was exactly the same. Lonely, desperate, willing to pay for the illusion of love, because the real thing had always been just out of reach. The worst part was that I didn't regret it. Not entirely. Those months with Shayla, even knowing how they ended, had been the happiest I'd felt in years. The mornings when she'd make me coffee and tell me about her dreams. The evenings when we'd sit in our garden and plan our future. The nights when she'd curl up against me and whisper that she loved me, and for a few hours I could believe it was true. Even knowing it was all performance, all calculation, all business, I couldn't bring myself to wish it had never happened. Because for a little while I felt alive again, needed, important. Like someone's world was a little brighter because I was in it. That was worth something, wasn't it? Even if it wasn't real, even if it bankrupted me, even if it left me working retail at 62 and sleeping alone in Minneapolis, it was worth something, wasn't it? I finished my beer and went to bed, where I dreamed about bougainvillea and yellow walls and a woman who taught me that love and business weren't always different things. When I woke up, it was snowing outside, and I had to get ready for another day of helping other people build the lives I'd never quite figured out how to build for myself. But I got up, got dressed, went to work, came home, repeated, because that's what you do when you're 62 and starting over. You put one foot in front of the other and try not to think too hard about where you're walking or how far you've come or how much further you have to go. You just keep moving, because moving is better than standing still, and standing still is better than falling down. And falling down is what happens when you stop believing that tomorrow might be different from today, even when all the evidence suggests it won't be. I'm still moving, still working, still alone, still trying to figure out the difference between love and loneliness, between hope and delusion, between starting over and giving up, still missing the smell of bougainvillea and the sound of her laugh and the way she used to say my name like it mattered, still wondering if Frank was right, if I should be angry instead of heartbroken, still wondering if she ever thinks about me, or if I was just another transaction in a ledger book full of green men who paid for love and got business instead. Still learning that some questions don't have answers, and some wounds don't heal, and some mistakes are so perfectly, completely human, that they're almost beautiful in their own broken way. She took the house, yeah, but I gave her my dignity. That's the part I regret most. And that's the part I'm still trying to get back one day at a time, one customer at a time, one small act of moving forward at a time. Because what else is there to do? What else is there except to keep living and hope that someday, somewhere, love and business will be different things again? What else is there except to remember that falling doesn't make you weak, getting back up does.